Skyscraper, there was a lot of repeated maps, and in the end, because they didn't make the playoffs, we didn't get to see their full hand, let's say. Whereas with the Knights, they did end up making playoffs, so we saw more of the hand. They also went very far in the OCS Championship as well. And like you said, Blue, there's sort of no other statistics left for IG, right? So our last stage is all that we have to talk about this team. And that does make it very hard for us to talk about it, but I imagine it's even harder for the teams to do their analysis and figure out what to bring against them.
You know, it's not going to be difficult. It is throwing to these casters. So here you go, Rob. Enjoy.
Oh, that seemed pretty hard to me.
That was a really bad throw.
I'm pretty disappointed there.
Get
The
back
philosophy.
at the host desk next week.
Look, what we'll do, we'll sit down for a VOD review with Mandy and Blue, and we'll go over the philosophy of the broadcast. You know, like the good philosophy. It is all about the chinwag, I should say. But guys, this is the matchup we've been waiting for. IG and the Knights go head to head. Only one can start off with the right foot in the right direction. I'm really indifferent about who to go for here. I've obviously got O's bias, but that's about it.
Yeah, I basically echo one-for-one the sentiment I think that Mandy really was showing on the desk, right? We really don't know what to expect heading into this one. Both of these teams closely matched. In fact, I believe finished on the same amount of points in stage 1. In fact, they did 11 points apiece, 4th and 5th. So INVICTUS narrowly missing out on the playoffs. So heading into this stage, you would have to say based on that, expecting it to be quite similar. The big curveball though, and it was mentioned earlier, is the new coach for the Knights. Picnic, their former coach, has departed, and Lunar Metal, of all people, has jumped in. So he is going to be straight off the bat taking on his former roster. Now, it has taken quite a different form to when he was once on that team, but there's still some names floating around, and I'm sure some of the playstyle would still be clinging on as well. So we'll have to see whether or not that introduces some counterplay into this game. In terms of the bans, the only difference compared to the previous match so far is Ying exchanged out for Habana on the attacking side, and Kaid will be brought in on the defense in exchange for Valkyrie. So that introduces its own challenges by banning out the Kaid, and with Habana being in, hard breach on hatches is going to be quite easy. That may mean we'll see the defense, in particular on basement, open up the map quite a bit more and prevent reliance on hatches being the point of resistance for those defensive efforts. But we won't have to worry about that just yet. Second floor attempted first here by IG, a site which has seen mixed results thus far. And maybe IG trying to just sneak it in first off and try to get it out the way. With attacker repick though, arguably that strategy not really as reliant as it maybe once was.
No, it's become a little bit more difficult to play around with that, but yeah. Jigsaw on the Valk. I'm keen to see, regardless of the repick or not, I'm keen to see how this one pans out. I do have a theory though. The theory is that Lunar Metal secretly has been a double agent all this time. Was only playing the game for 5 years at a professional level to get to the point where he could get all the information from INVICTUS and then go to the Knights and kick our wonderful departed coach. Only departed from the scene, of course. Just want to make that very clear. He's only retired, as we've already mentioned. But focusing up here, I am really curious. Again, for me, when I think about Bank at the moment, and especially in APAC South, from what we saw from Firewalls in Stage 1, there is so much OSA play in the basement and the top floor of this site. I want to see it utilised, but I also want to see it countered. I think we saw it starting to get countered toward the end of last stage. A lot of impacts being brought, a lot of ways to kind of manipulate it. So keen to see if it follows suit.
Well, 4 impacts available here for INVICTUS, so assuming they bank those, I don't think there'll be too many issues in clearing out those Talon shields later on in this round. It'll be up to Stigs to ensure that he uses those as efficiently as possible. Knights, though, currently leaning into the rappel, as Quiz looks to maybe clear out stock. Takes a lot of damage, though. That's a huge chunk of damage. Critically survives, and that hard breach alongside it. Quiz now likely will look to play more passive here, instead drone out, try and find information, but both his drones now expired. Not a great position that he finds himself in now.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Slight breather here. Knights on the rappel trying to potentially find something a little bit spicy, but INVICTUS aren't really giving them anything at the moment. Juice has made his way in. Speakeasy, however, does find Quiz. Now, that is the Hibana. Going to focus primarily on the exothermic charges of Juicy now, with one already gone off. I'm pretty sure that's job done in terms of the open area that they need to kind of play around. Of course, it's at the top of square, not open area itself. Just want to make that very clear. Minute 10 left. INVICTUS are still very much in good positions to deny this.
Oh, hysterics though with the UMP, a 3 versus 5. Elsewhere, those Stigs looking to try and get that shield down, able to fake out the first of the impact tricks, so well juggled, but still in the 3v5. INVICTUS surely on the defense can overwhelm sight. That said, Stigs looking to commit.
There it is. There it is. That's what we were waiting for. The final impact of Jigsaw, unfortunately, maybe miscounted. Maybe Stigs wasn't prepared for that final impact to come through. But an instant kill for INVICTUS pretty much secures this round. Had Stigs been able to stick that plan, I think we would have been in all sorts. And just like that, first round pretty much posed to go in the favor of INVICTUS, unless Josh and Juicy have something to say about this, both with guns that could well and truly rip apart a defense, but not enough time left.
See what the Don can muster up in this round as Josh sends it in deep. Juicy to follow with a nice 2k, 10 seconds left. Had he found the third, things may have been very, very interesting, but nonetheless, it's a good start for INVICTUS.
And look, let's just, I just want to say it right now, right off the bat, my very first point that I make coming into the game, other than, of course, Luna Metal potentially being a double agent, is the OSA, the use of it, and how impactful it can be at CEO, and of course down in the basement. Speaking about how impact tricks could be the way to go, we see INVICTUS grab 2 sets of impact nades, and they are ultimately the game changer for them. Although, I mean, you could definitely look at the fact that INVICTUS found 2 kills to begin with, untraded from Knights. But really, with OSA, I think there was like 3 seconds left on that plant. If there's no way to destroy that Talon shield, I really do think that Knights secure that post plant. So all eyes now completely kind of on how or whether Knights actually decide to bring that OSA again, and whether INVICTUS do continue to bring the impacts as a way to deter that. But down to the basement for the second round, INVICTUS looking good.
10 seconds left.
And now this links back to the story of bans. I was expecting perhaps that on this side, IG would be more aggressive up above. They would leave the hatches open for rotations and instead try to wither down time. That doesn't seem to be the case. Again, Kaid has been banned, so denying hatches, very hard, very tough if you're not actually physically there. And you add on top of that, Hibana is playable if needed. Probably not really required, but still a good safety net. Instead, Knight's going for a bit more of an adaptable lineup. They do have the Thermite. Oh, effective Thermites as well as secondaries on Stigs. I almost thought Josh was going to get that pick, but it looks like Quiz has found it instead. Entering over towards top square, his first pick of the game, and a good start for the Knights.
There you go now. Decisions probably need to be made. You've got to be cautious to overstep. Not that anyone from Knights are really even in arm's reach of the INVICTUS players, but clearing out top floor, first floor, this is where things can get a little bit more so tricky. Time can be wasted where maybe it doesn't need to be. Bunkering down, INVICTUS not really looking to show face whatsoever. Keen to see as well. We saw Fury very aggressive with the Yokais. But I don't know whether we've seen so from Nate yet, but this first half will be quite telling to see how the Knights, how INVICTUS decide to approach a game, especially against the methodical Knights that you know will punish you if you make mistakes.
Well, here you see the hatch play. Juicy straight in towards this open area position alongside Stigs to open up the 2 primary hatches. Still hard breach available if required over towards the server hatch and indeed towards the site itself. But time now slowly creeping up here on the Knights. Again, no real serious extension from INVICTUS, so I don't know why it's taken them so long. Just being thorough, making sure they don't make any critical errors as they have the man advantage. Now they have server control and things starting to look a little better. 60 seconds to go, and Juicy will open up the ball. But once this is opened, Invictus, all eyes will be on this position, looking to deny the plant.
One from Invictus have really been tested yet. Yokai still in the pocket, now it's thrown out. Where does it go to? Juicy sticking it, but no. Smokers at least force them off of the line. I think maybe that was the Yokai going down. Now they have only 2 smoke bays between them and a possible plant. With 30 seconds left, they'll only have 10 further seconds to deny unless Knights decide to go in deep. Time's burning out here, Guz.
Speakeasy in the perfect position inside of this smoke with the ward and lands the critical shots. It's the first pick for Invictus and it's plant denial. That's exactly what they would have wanted, but Speakeasy converged on from behind. Now a 2 versus 3 as Quiz looks to stick. Now Jigsaw deep. There's nothing he can do from that position as the timer now ticks down. Jigsaw forced to reposition. The Knights overwhelmed by the attack. Invictus, a perfect flood. We know Jigsaw's good, but finding 3, it's going to be such a challenge.
And with seconds ticking, no Knights players showing face. This is how you want to play a 1 versus 3 post plant, especially when that time is starting to crumble at the hands of Jigsaw. Finds the first, but gets shut down by Stigs. Knights with a secure and lovely round to bounce back after that CEO attack. Fantastic work. I very quickly, before I give it back to you guys, I want to highlight the play from Speakeasy there on the Warden pushing into the smoke to deny the first player going for the plant. I thought maybe that might have been enough to disrupt what Knights were trying to do, but how quick the Knights were to kind of capitalize on, I suppose, misposition, if you will. So overall, looking like this could be the game we'd hoped it would turn out to be.
Attackers need to locate
Yeah.
and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Could well be super close, which could echo the sentiment for what this stage is going to offer us. Stage 1 of APAC South was incredibly close, and even then it was probably the least close that we had. I don't know if that's really the right way to frame it, but despite not being as tight as last year's results, for example, it was still really, really close. And that gap might be tight here in the second stage. Neither of these teams attending the Charlotte Major, neither qualifying for the Major, so maybe losing some international experience against some of the top teams, but it means that this matchup in particular should be quite close. The Knights bringing on a new coach in Luna Metal as of recent, former Invictus IGL star player, been around the game since the very beginning. IG on the flip side though, with this hybrid lineup of Singaporeans and Australians, big expectations on their shoulders, a lot of key players that can step up. Speakeasy, the best player in the league, looking to once again retain that crown, and right on cue, gets the kill onto Quiz.
The hold here has just been phenomenal. Invictus, I think all 3 rounds with the opening kill, unless I'm going a little crazy. Now I can't remember back to the second round, and I'm thinking maybe I am going crazy. Regardless, I know of at least 2 opening kills. Good trade from Josh, all things considered. I would imagine it would be pretty tough trying to shoot through bars as a player's running back up spiral. Ping or no ping, doesn't make a difference. Nate on the underside now, I mean, it could decide to use a C4 if they've got information there, but I would imagine we'll hold onto that for later use. Minute 40, got to be happy that Knights have 1, found the trade, and 2, started to force these players.
4 versus 4. The Knights looking to, again, get this foothold up above, which is critical, and allowing Stigs on the buck to open up line of sight in towards the objective. C4 from Nate. The pre-place doesn't land. Sage now looking to continue his progression forward and offer protection to Stigs, who I can only assume is going to come along shortly and open up Vert. Patient and calculated at the moment from Invictus, not giving an inch. Trying to waste more and more time. The Knights lurking, waiting for their opportunity to pounce. Invictus are waiting for that moment themselves and seeing if they can push it back.
Spearheading this attack. Josh coming from the front side. Sage catching Nate on the rotate back. Os on Os action. The mirror facing outward. Won't really be able to support them at this point, but 30 seconds left. This is where things get really tricky. If Invictus can hold down the site, they can force Knights into an uncomfortable plant position. They're going to be in trouble. It won't matter. Knights are mopping up right now. With only 2 left for Invictus, they've got to make a play.
Serik's in a position to make one. Can he deny the plant? He might not be able to do it, but he gets the kill onto Sage. Eventually traded though, Mentalist with the trade back. A 1 versus 2 in the post, but it's the vert from Stigs that he established earlier, allowing the Knights to win the round.
That is absolutely gorgeous. I'm not going to lie. Big fan of the vert control held and established nice and early. Knights really doing their due diligence here. And this is the kind of siege I love to watch. You know, like we're still seeing a flurry of kills. We're still seeing some gorgeous individual prowess, some decisions made. But ultimately, it's the macro of the game right now that's paying off for both of these teams. CEO for Invictus, and then, of course, the following 2 rounds have really been a success for the Knights and a write-off for Invictus. We head back down to the basement. Instead of going to CEO, I mean, go for it. But definitely felt like CEO was the ticket for them. If they can lock this one in, surely it will put Knights on the back foot, and a bit of pressure will be kind of induced into that roster.
Yeah, last time we saw the Knights attack this objective, despite there not being much of a presence up above, time did wane down. There was only about a minute, maybe a little bit more, when the Knights got open to the wall, initially went for the first plant. And that's simply not enough time. The math just doesn't add up. The smoke grenades in combination with potentially even impacts for denial, it's going to be too overwhelming for an attack, and it does eventually then force them to go quite deep into the objective, instead find picks, or at minimum find an alternative place to get that diffuser on the ground, which is not going to be as optimal. So let's see if the Knights can speed up this process once more. I don't believe we are seeing Invictus extend. Admittedly, I caught it, but seems like the Knights with pre-placed drones, 3 players currently droning at least, looking to help get these players in nice and quickly.
No one facing yet. Jigsaw in a very dangerous area. Opts out of it for now. Waiting for the opportunity to potentially take a kill and then fall back is not going to happen. But now Hysterics is actually stuck in the elevator. If Josh can read this, they'll be able to open up a small little barricade. It's not going to happen yet. Good time burn from Invictus. They'll fall away as a team.
Yeah, good aggression there over towards the stairs. Again, wasting a bit of time. Whittling down the drone economy, and that's what you want. The Knights on the flip side, though, with hatches now open, has been a little bit speedier compared to the last attempt. But will they change up their approach? Because from this position, if they still try and go for default, it may not work out, and that's why perhaps we're seeing some pressure over towards the backside. But that hatch is actually... is that being denied? I don't know. Maybe it was actually just sparking off and will pop off. Yeah, there's no mute on the board, obviously, and it wouldn't even reach there. So I'm clearly seeing things. Nonetheless, opened up now. Could indicate that the Knights try to once more apply pressure from that backside.
Lucy, can he start to just slowly and surely chip away at this? Doesn't look like anyone's really in a position to capitalize on the back of it. Timing could be quite good here. Mentalist throws it out late. Does Juicy stick it? Oh, no. Was probably 1 second away from really being able to. Now things get a little bit tricky for the Knights here. Drop down to half HP, 20 seconds left, guys. They've got to make a decision, they've got to make a move.
Oh, look at this information, though, for Invictus. Absolutely perfect. And with 10 seconds to go, the Knights have their backs against the wall. Now forced to try and go for the plant. Stigs does cover. A 3-on-4 as Hysterics elsewhere finds his pick, but Mentalist goes deep. There's a player on the ground, and it's Mentalist to find the last.
They clearly know what went wrong last time, because that was just perfect. Hook, line, and sinker. Knights cannot find anywhere, not an inch, not a centimeter, nothing. They could not find anything in that round. Invictus play it to perfection, finding kills, picking back. We love it. We absolutely love it. Now we head back to CEO. The once failed site for the Knights. Invictus looking pretty good to at least secure a 3-3 half. Pressure's on them though.
I do wonder, are the Knights going to bring out the OSA once more on this objective to try and facilitate that plant over towards the northeastern side of that CEO objective? They were so close last time, it didn't quite have the manpower in order to cut off the crosses on the lapel. Can they do it this time? We are seeing the attacker repick, so Stigs has elected to jump off the buck. And he's now gone back on towards the OSA. Once more though, IG have a good amount of utility to counter this playstyle. 2 impact grenades from Jigsaw and the Valk, 2 impact grenades from Speak Easy as well on the Wamai. So it's going to be quite a fierce battle, especially if it is a closer man count at that final plant. It's going to come down to which team can play off that utility slightly better. The Knights looking to just get the plant down, knowing that they can cover it in the post, and IG will be throwing everything they have at preventing it from going down on the ground.
Be a lot of pressure as well. They've got to buy themselves enough time to be able to do this. Probably be a big factor here. Speakeasy, with such a deep shield to play from, it makes things a little bit more difficult should you want to just completely deal with it, right? If you want to chuck Zofia charge at it, it's going to be a lot more complicated with it being so deep. It also allows Speakeasy later into the round to push down the Janitor Hall. With Magnet still on the wall, it just, yeah, this is going to be a solid setup for Invictus. You can see that they're really trying to play for that. On the back side of the site, no one in Janitor. Obviously, rotates will allow them to move there quite quickly. Knights all out on the rappel, hoping to be given something.
Thought Sage was perhaps going to throw a grenade there and try and clear a position, but elects not to and holds on to that utility. The only utility that has been used by the Knights are the 4 Claymores scattered around. Probably a significant change here on Bank. Hasn't been that long since we've seen 1 Claymore now changed to 2 per attacking player. So quite a significant change and a good way to counter the jump out meta on this particular site. Saw that in the last match this evening. Might see it again as the Knights now slowly creep forward, get control of top square, and this is where the battle really opens up, but it's Speak Easy to drop Quiz.
Worth his weight in gold this game, Speakeasy is. And as you said, this is where things get interesting. Stigs is now on the CEO balcony. Sage with a shot. I don't even know if you could see the player or not, but he finds it anyway. Things get a little bit tricky here. 30 seconds left. Kills are not going the way of the Knights. They cannot find an in. Once again, Invictus are yet but a brick wall in the way of the Knights' attack. A masterclass at this point in some of these rounds. Juicy can't get anything done at Invictus. They go 3-2 up, potentially closing this out in a 4-2 half.
Really good signs from Invictus on that particular site. They're doing the one wing condition that there really is on the objective, and that's preventing the attackers from getting in a position in which they can get a plant down. They are just applying relentless pressure over towards top square and other angles facing that position that are simply stopping the Knights from comfortably getting in towards site, getting that talent shoot down and going for the plant. They know that once it is stuck, your chances of winning the round essentially drop to 0. So they've played it really well. And it's unfortunate for the Knights because I think their game plan heading into that objective was quite solid. Just the execution not quite there despite the best efforts of some of their fraggers. So we'll see them now try to pick themselves back up once more over towards open area, the final round of the half. Let's see what they can achieve. I don't know if that's a visual glitch. I really hope for the Knights it is. 2 drones remain. I really hope that I'm misinterpreting that number, and we'll see if perhaps it changes heading into the action phase. But if that is actually true, that is a big, big concern. Okay, thank you, Sky, for just making sure that I'm not going crazy. Drones are still up. The Knights playing them very conservatively outside, so that's a very positive side. I was getting a little bit concerned there.
One drone. We do see at the very least a cheeky mozzie. The Pest working a treat, so Speakeasy will be able to play off 1 the bare minimum. And setting up on site, I mean, they've got so much time to do this. It's not like Knights are going to be rushing into the building itself. They've actually been quite slow on every single approach. And I feel like it's a bit of a hallmark, a bit of a trademark of Knights, just their methodical attacks. Kind of like just a little bit faster in terms of the old meta that we used to see, but they're still as diligent as ever.
Quiz needs to be careful. A lot of potholes on his road to being able to close out this half. Lines of sight from down below, and needs to be mindful of any potential flanks from lobby or the main stairs as well, but so far he's dodged those landmines. And that sledge will be critical in clearing out key positions like archives, forcing those defenders deep in towards the open area objective where they have no room for error, they have no room for any rotations. Knights are being so safe and methodical in these attacks, which goes both ways. It takes a little bit more time, but it also ensures that for the most part they're in good positions. So we'll see how this one eventuates. We have eclipsed the halfway point of the round. And it just feels like the rounds are going by so quickly. Time can be a very strange concept in R6 sometimes, and the Knights, it's waning. Don't mind that though. Oh, but it doesn't pay off. Jigsaw, so sharp, winning that engagement.
That is really, really unfortunate from Sage. I thought I saw bullets coming from above as well, so I actually thought, I looked away for 2 seconds, I thought it was a defender. There you go. My eyes are yet but deceiving me, and the focus for Knights really just these opening kills have not been favourable. They have not been kind, and I love this, the aggression from Nate. He'll drop Quiz, he can't confirm the kill. But the exothermic is not going to go off with the factor of the mute jam as Josh finds 1, but Speakeasy, the buddy system works. This really is just showing some pretty tough signs for the Knights who are struggling here.
30 seconds remains for the Knights, and it just seems like at every single execute, they are just one player or one key component down, and this one, no different. The exothermic on the wall jammed, and Speakeasy goes for the flank. It's a clean kill onto Juicy. It's cold. And now Stig's in the 1v4, isolated by the castle barricade, and time now ticks down. Even if he gets this kill, it's far from a dub. Invictus looking deadly on these defenses.
Not gonna lie, I really enjoyed. I enjoy any one tap in Siege. We so rarely see them. We so rarely hear them. Just to hear it is enough. IG off to the races here. There is no doubt about it. A 4-2 first half. It is by no means irretrievable for the Knights. It is well and truly still completely in their grasp. Now, we are going to go into a bit of a rehost here, so don't mind if me and the Guzzler turn somewhat podcast mode. Never know how long these are going to take, so we just like to kind of pace ourselves here. But we definitely have to say, guys, I mean, maybe it's just me and my my lower IQ brain when it comes to Siege knowledge, but it does feel like IG have just been quite... what's the right word to put here? I just want to use a stupid word like intelligent in the way that they've played that first half, constantly getting the first pick and falling back and bunkering down. Like, Knights have struggled to get anything done in the first minute, 2 minutes.
Yeah, it seemed like the Invictus had a really good... they either had a really good read on the tempo when the Knights were dictating it a little bit, particularly in the early round, but also themselves did a good job in controlling it throughout the mid to late round. They got aggressive and they cut down drones and they tried to inflict a little bit of damage where it was appropriate. But then they also were very aware of the wing conditions of each specific site and played into that. The Knights on so many of these executes were a man down or a key component down, as I sort of mentioned in the final round, and it came back to bite them. Siege is a very hard game to clutch out rounds. It's just a matter of fact that it's very difficult to get multi-kills, to get trades, etc. That's just the way the game pans out. And Invictus doing a good job to get themselves in those spots. So full credit to them in the first half. Still a long way to go though, right? So many games of Siege we have seen in the past, whether it be in APAC South or elsewhere. It is one map is truly a tale of two halves. Yeah. The dynamic can significantly shift, especially with the types of bans that may be in place, for example. So Invictus just need to hold up their mental here. We don't know how long this break could be, so it's important to just stay focused in the zone and then continue that into the second half.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if you want to touch on the bans, the Azami ban, I don't think we've seen. I mean, we definitely haven't seen the impact in APAC South that she can have yet. Those knives are going to be, I think they're going to be all sorts if we ever do see them. The Kibber barriers, I believe I think that's how you pronounce them anyway. And the Electric Claws obviously is a huge factor, especially on the basement side. The Ying and the Thatcher, I mean, those bans are really the one that we're looking for on the attacks, and I don't think you're ever really prepared to play a game with Ying with Thatcher in it. And the second time we've seen a Ying ban, I mean, is there something these teams know that we don't, cuz? I feel like the Ying ban seems a little, maybe a little bit off meta. I feel like stage 3 last year, Ying was definitely used a lot in conjunction with Finker, but it's not so impactful anymore.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because Ying did get a pretty significant adjustment in one of the previous patches where it went from 3 Candelas to a total of 4, but the flash duration, so how long a flash player saw white, was actually significantly cut back. So I think it's a weird one, right? It increased the skill gap by ensuring that if you did flash someone, you had to be spot on with your timing to be able to actually kill them or make whatever play you wanted to do. But at the same time, you also had more room for error in the sense that you could use an extra Candela to achieve the same effect. So it seems like teams at the moment not really feeling comfortable with that. And I think Bank is a map where you really do sometimes need that vision available to deny entry, deny plant. Having a read on where your opponents are at all times is pretty critical. Even if you do have Valk in play, Ying can cause a lot of disturbance, and it's just, I think, also an annoyance factor. Teams just don't really want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly understandable.
And I guess, like, out of all the operators can really be played on the attack. I mean, if you're versing Direwolves, you're probably definitely going to be an OSA. But yeah, I definitely, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I do. I love the fact that basement really has not changed. You know, like, a lot of things have changed about Bank, and especially with the whole meta shift at the start of last year and the way things have kind of progressed. So many maps play out quite differently. I think Clubhouse, for me, is probably the one map that has stayed true through even through the meta change from util dump into, I mean, whatever you want to call it now. I don't even know what you call it now. Just the meta.
Shoot.
Yeah, but the basement in Bank has very much stayed the same. You know, like, the approach is almost identical to what it used to be in that util dump and in that 20-second meta. You can see teams spiced up a little bit and maybe go for like a hatch drop and catch off the team defending, but more often than not, it's just wasting time, buying time, planning, baiting utility. So I don't know where I was going with that. I just thought it was interesting that, you know, we're not really seeing too much of a difference there. Obviously, the rest of the map kind of changed a little bit as util dumps completely out now. It's not completely out, but I think you're catching my juice there. Knights are very much... yeah, go.
Did you just say the juice?
The juice? The juicinator! Hang on, bring him up. Bring him up on screen.
I wasn't even talking about juicy. I was thinking more so, are there any juices in the chat?
Oh, no.
XQCL?
No. People are... Most Siege players are normies, mate. We do not follow the juice. You know what I mean? There's no juices in the chat.
I think there's juices in the chat.
There's the Don. There's the Don on our screen. Juicy himself.
Yeah, that is true.
Which, by the way, we're going to be airing some content soon.
Yeah.
Watch, check out OCN tomorrow night. There's a plug. Raven, do I get extra bickies for that one? Some content coming the way of OCN fans, that's for sure. But maybe we could start a podcast to help the APAC South fans. Maybe we could do a podcast on a Sunday night. What do you reckon, guys? Get all the fellas around.
I'm a very busy man. I don't have time.
Hang on.
I don't have time on a Sunday night.
What time did you wake up?
I think today I woke up at about 3 p.m.
And what time is call time today? What time do we have to get ready for the broadcast?
About 4 p.m.
Unless you're Dev, of course, in which case it's 4:05 or 4:10. You have fun. This is, I think, a telling tale at the moment for IG. I think this map in particular, or just the first half, and again, you've kind of alluded to the fact that it's a tale of two halves. But the first half has given me a lot of hope for what IG have in the bank and what, no pun intended, and what they have prepared for stage 2, because I think we can all put our hand up and say, you know, coming into stage 1, we were definitely talking about the super roster, whatever, the super team, you know. They picked up a bunch of gamers from all different places and kind of mashed them into a team, and it just didn't perform the way that we'd kind of hoped, the champion team versus the team of champions. And now this might be like the fruition of stage 1, all that work put in and all the hours that they would have been preparing for stage 2. This could be the fruits of their loins, if you will.
Yeah, I think maybe we expected a little bit too much from IG in the first stage. I don't know, it's a bit of a weird storyline to sort of develop. But I think looking back, it probably would have been more realistic to see them really come alive in the second stage. Having 2 sub-regions like that intermix is something that we haven't really properly seen ever. So it was entering the unknown, and I think integrating those different playstyles, different mentalities, probably different scrim schedules, scrim partners, all of that jazz is going to take quite a bit of time to assimilate all those players and get them onto the same wavelength. And we did see IG play well, but didn't quite crack into that top 4. Funnily enough, it was the Knights that did just best them, equal on 11 points, but the head-to-head not going their way. But I do expect IG in this second stage continue to improve. It's so early that it's very tricky to say if we should be putting them on the pedestal of a top 2 contender, but I think they're going to be pretty close. I'd be very, very shocked if Invictus, or even the Knights as well, aren't pushing the envelope for top 4, for top 3, or maybe even that top 2.
Oh, it's almost like top 2 are in the top 4. Sorry, mate, I just can't help it. I can't help it. There is a point to which the delirium kicks in on rehosts, and it certainly kicked in. It has certainly kicked in.
I'm feeling fresh as a daisy.
I bet you are. That's what happens when you wake
going
up
to sleep
at 4
at 6
PM.
o'clock and waking up at 2 will do that to all men.
It certainly will. It certainly will. We are back, though. We appreciate everyone at home waiting alongside. Now it's time to see whether that tale of 2 halves truly is something of a fairy tale itself, or whether it is going to be an onslaught from Invictus. Imagine turning from attack to defense for Knights will give them a moment to breathe, a bit of a sigh of relief. So keep your eyes peeled. Top floor to begin with.
I must say, I'm a little bit, maybe not disappointed, but a little bit surprised that maybe we didn't see Sense dabbled in a little bit on this particular site, because it does cut off that super long line of sight from front desk and makes potentially the plan a little bit safer to get down, instead of relying on the OSA, which against Impact is quite risky. But we're not going to see it at all. In fact, we're not going to see either operator from Invictus here. So very much vanilla here, and not bringing in more decent operators, relying on the old and trusty double hard breach combo. Think at LMG. You have the nades on, of course, the Yana and Util on Mentalist. So I'm just keen to see how this one plays out. We saw Invictus on their attacks. They struggled to get enough of a foothold with enough manpower left to go for plants, and I'm sure IG will be making sure that if they do lose players, rather, they'll make sure they're traded out, because that wasn't the case for the Knights, and that was costly.
You know, if there's one thing more than casters having a game on their hands, it's that we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out. That's there's only one phrase more used than game on our hands, and there's definitely, we'll have to see how this pans. Because, truth be told, you never really know what's going to happen in a round, and things can change very quickly. Already CEO wall open, Invictus doing God's work to begin with. Juicy, however, playing from Janitor. That's a very dangerous position that they're going to have to contest with sooner or later. And a very similar setup. Very eerily close to what Invictus had.
Sage, it's a key position to hold down this hallway, and he's being pressured from multiple positions. The flashbangs to clear him out, able to fall back. The shield still stands, but I'm sure it won't be for much longer. A decent attempt with the impact trick. In fact, it's actually very strong from Sage, and I think he can continue to hold this position down. No lines of sight from the window, and Jigsaw forced to send it over towards top square. Shut down by Sage, who's thirsty for more. Doesn't quite find anyone outside of the double window at stock, but gets more aggressive. Flashed out, stalled out, but IG stalled out as well.
Ooh, Sage. It's a nice bit of information, but with Quiz going down, there goes the smoke player. And so too the mute. A C4 and 3 smoke babes no longer in use. I love this. I love this from Sage. The unreal peak. The timing is to perfection. This is a dangerous angle for him to play on. Lucky he does not falter at all. Stig's doubling down. He's seen the player run into stock, and now the rest of the team will be alerted. Josh waiting on the tight line. It's done and it's dusted. Mentalist 1v2. If you can find this kill in Janitor, things become a little bit more interesting. Fantastically played from the Knights. They're going to force Mentalist into the 7-second plant. And now it is all but time here for Stigs. There we go. Nice round for the Knights. Invictus, after a pretty explosive start, they struggle.
Seems like that top floor is a struggle for both teams on the attack, and that's why we said during that extended pause at the halftime break that Siege, any map can be a serious tale of two halves, and there is an opportunity here for the Knights to really start claiming rounds back on the defense. Basement now, arguably the more favored site as well. Can we see them stall out this attack? They're not bringing the smoke though. That's a big call. Instead, Juicy on the Tachanka and Sage as well on the Oryx. Castle as well being brought. So this indicates that the Knights are going to go for quite an aggressive extended roam here on Bank to stall out Invictus for as long as possible. That means that they don't necessarily need to rely on the smoke, and ideally not even the Tachanka. It just offers them some more utility as well as the LMG to create rotates. So this lineup from the Knights, I love it. It's a big call though. Can they pull it off?
We love long shots, that's for sure. And this is one if I've ever seen it. Look how much utility they are investing into staff that, open rather, that kind of converts across. I'm a big fan. Oh, I love this. This is good. Anything that's a little bit different to the norm, and this is certainly different. I wonder whether Knights have been able to read into this. You see IQ being picked from Speakeasy, so obviously they have definitely seen the Valkyrie. Victus could definitely be tested here on this attack.
Oh, Stig's
Oh,
risky. But this is the risk that the Knights need to take. Try and waste as much time as possible. The first goal is not necessarily kills, it is that clock. Stiggs plays it to perfection, able to fall down with still enough HP to survive a fight in the late round. And in fact, it's enough to survive a fight in the mid round. Esteric's taken down, that's the Finker dealt with. So a lot of damage already off the board here for Invictus.
The thing is, though, I feel like they've bought a fair bit of time. Oh, no, sorry. No, they have not at all. They have not at all. They've still got a lot to deal with here. With Sage watching on the tight line. All of Knights flood back to sight. Invictus can't find anything but another body on the ground. And the Knights are flying away with this round so far.
Minute 30 remains. Invictus trying to crawl this round back, but the roam so far from the Knights has been a strong success. Now it's just a matter of bunkering down on side, and with the Tachanka still available, holding out for a minute shouldn't be all that difficult. Stiggs as well has a Nitro cell for the default plant, and they are positioned perfectly. Still one player, I assume, on the roam, unless they were in garage. Tricky to see the outline nonetheless, though. The Knights can't really complain too much. The position they're in is great as Speakeasy goes for the plant.
Well, this is good timing. Speakeasy's just going to pull away. He was literally a second away from sticking that plant down. But if he had have stuck it, well and truly would have been done and dusted, and then it would have been a 2 versus 5. Instead, they opt for the man advantage. They're going to try and go deep. Stiggs is watching on the long line. Nice trade from Speakeasy. Quiz is not going to be expected on the advanced line, on the aggressive angle. But now they're being given an opportunity here. 10 seconds left. The Knights looking to hold from long lines.
Still flames available though for Juicy. Sage goes for a flank. So numbers now dispersed. Juicy taken low, but he still wins that fight. I thought maybe Speakeasy could win that engagement, but it's not meant to be. The flank successful and the roam successful for the Knights.
Honestly, that is a really, really good round from the Knights. How much time they wasted, literally a minute 30, and kept Invictus on their toes. The second they fell back at a minute 30, they found another C4 kill. Invictus are 2 men down. They cannot claw back from there. And although Knights nearly gave them a little bit of an in, Quiz getting a little bit too aggressive without finding a kill, they're so well posed. You know, like there's so much that Invictus have to do to get back into that round. It just seems like an impossible task. Regardless though, with Knights winning the first 2 opening rounds, it gives them time to reset here. It gives them time to take a breath. If they lose this round, if they somehow lose the round following, you know, they've got that room. They've got time to claw back. And one thing I know they wouldn't want to see from this point is, you know, at the very least, look, let's just say Open Staff is completely written off, right? You go back to CEO, you go back to basement. That's where really the game should be closed out.
5 seconds left. Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Once again, a somewhat similar lineup here from the Knights. I think that the big thing really to note here is that the castle being brought out and the amount of utility that provides. It wastes a little bit more time because it needs to be cleared. Offers protection from lines of sight, meaning that less need to be directly watched on the roam, for example. So really intelligent plays at the moment from the Knights. And I think, was it you that said intelligent plays earlier from the side of Invictus? It feels like now that storyline has kind of flipped after the half, right? So
It has.
very impressed from what we've seen so far here in the second half, but still a long way to go. Long, long way to go. The momentum can change from round to round. See whether or not the Knights can pull off something similar here in round 9.
It's got to be said with that long rehost we had, surely the momentum would have been bolted. But Jigsaw, you do not want to feed the monster. A beast lies in wait under the skin, disguised as Jigsaw. If he is unleashed in this game, God help us all.
Bomb located by attackers.
Oh, Quiz. He has an inkling. He senses Tingle, but falls back. I thought almost he'd try and commit there. And rightly so, the Knights, 3 versus 5. It's at this point of the round where your chances of winning are so low that you need to find a play. You need to make something, manufacture it. If you just sit down in towards the site, your chances of winning the round are not going to increase. They're only going to continue to dwindle. Maybe, though, the Knights will try to capitalize on a mistake here from Invictus, who still have 8 drones remaining, 4 grenades available. They have so much to work with here. It's difficult to see them letting them slip this round.
I mean, I feel like Knights would have to win a couple of ones right now for this to start to make any kind of opportunity happen. They look to get aggressive, and that was the opportunity. Speakeasy waiting on the line. He'll find the trade, but Quiz could be the difference maker here. If he's able to stick around in Archives, he could be quite menaceful, and that he is. Hysterics goes down. Stigs is caught in a 1 versus 3. He could win this, and I think he just might. This is starting to give me scary vibes! Jigsaw down! Now it's Nate 1 versus 3. He knows where he is. He just has to find the kill. Oh, dancing and prancing in and around. The tables. Speaking of tables, they have definitely turned. 1 player left. Stigs from a 1v3 closes it out. And it's 3 rounds on the trot for the Knights.
Oh my god. The Knights again pulling off that play. Stigs, we said that they needed to try and capitalize on mistakes, and the trades just not quite there. The grenades as well, not quite hitting. And Stigs, to his credit, found every window of opportunity in that clutch and made it work. Super composed, super well thought out. The first there onto Mentalist was sharp. The presence of mind to pop up and find the second, and then just applying a pressure and pressure and pressure onto Nate, who was struggling to find Stigs as he continually danced around. So well played. And now the Knights a single round away from securing overtime.
God, as the once famous Xenox said, rolling back the clock, the time is reversed to a time where Stigs is a beast. That is absolutely unbelievable. I tell you what a massive round to take that in as well. That now means around the world, partially completed. It's not the 4th, but it's not the 4th site, that is. But Knights have completed 3 in a row. They have not faltered on any site they've gone to. It doesn't matter, clutch completely gone out of the way. They've still been able to do it, and Invictus will be sweating right now. Momentum is well and truly broken. If it wasn't after the rehost, it sure as hell is now.
Yeah, it must be at least somewhat demoralizing for Invictus to not get a single round on the rotation. Tough position they find themselves in. But I think if they really focus, they know that so many of those rounds, or a couple of those rounds rather, were quite close. An engagement here, an engagement there, a piece of utility. If it goes the other way, Invictus can start crawling this one back. They did down Sage as well. This was a key position that they struggled to deal with last time. That down is massive. But can the Knights commit to the res? Josh isn't confident. Now goes for it while flashed. Wow. Forced to run back, and I think they've pulled it off. Well done there by the Knights. Sage. The immediate grenade, though, from Jigsaw.
At least he gets off the magnet. They revived him for 1 more magnet. That's all that matters. Sage, if he had thrown that half a second earlier, he would have been okay. Instead, he's left to watch cams. Invictus will be very happy to take that kill away. I'm still waiting for the Samaru. I've got to see something. There's so many opportunities for that to be used late round. Early round doesn't make a difference. It can really cause some damage on a map like Bank, where the walls are flat and the windows are plentiful.
60 seconds now. We've seen the Knights bring back worse positions. If you have a goldfish memory, it really wasn't that long ago. And maybe that will play on the minds of Invictus. Speak Easy and Hysterics. A deadly duo looking to now clear out these positions up through the hatch. Speak Easy capitalizes for one, but Stiggs sharp finds the trade. Now he's alongside Juicy, stranded in Janitor, gets killed from behind. Stiggs finds another trade, but it's just too many to find. And IG make a big statement to bring back the scoreline.
That really, honestly, that round felt like a house of cards. The second that first kill goes the way of Invictus, Knights are scrambling to find a trade, to find their way back into that. Invictus truly capitalize. Here I am thinking, oh yeah, flat walls, she'll be right. No, in fact, it's up the hatch for Speakeasy on the Amaru. Finds a kill, and very quickly, Knights cannot trade efficiently or quick enough.
Protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
But we do go down to basement, which saw Knights' greatest round so far. Looking at like a completely different setup. Like, totally different. We now have the Yokais, we've got the Smoke Babes, and of course, we've got two mirrors that are going to have to be contended with for Invictus, and they can be very tricky at the best of times. The worst of times even, but see how they'll deal with it. Round 11, it's OT, or it's a flat-out victory by round 12.
5 seconds left.
Another 5-5.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Huge round that could have ripple effects across the league and across both teams' aspirations for qualifying for the major. Every single point is absolutely critical. 7 play days, it's the only opportunity you get. We have seen close head-to-heads. We have seen close point gaps from first all the way down to 8th in this league. So both teams will be hungry for this round to get something and the opportunity to get all 3. The Knights haven't been perfect, but they've shown that they can fight hard, and Invictus on the flip side as well, showing some grit to bring back that previous round when things were starting to slip. Back down to basement though for round 11. Saw Knights roam last time with operators like the Castle to waste utility and time and patience, but this time instead on site, but that's not quite working out. Speak Easy with the first, and it's Quiz, the smoke of all operators dealt with. That is a huge blow for the Knights.
We talked about it earlier, guys, in that previous game between Fury and Wildcard. Multiple times the smoke was kind of out of position in terms of playing on blue stairs, and it can be really costly. Sometimes, yeah, sure, it can work, and other times it can end like this. This is the least ideal scenario you've got. You've got no smoke, you've got 2 C4s, but with 2 Talon shields still left in the pocket, Speakeasy can just absolutely manipulate the rest of this round. And with 1:20 left, this has to be an Invictus round. Knights have to do something absolutely outrageous to bring it back.
The server setup from IG already established behind those Talon shields, and now it's a matter of getting that plan on the floor. Jigsaw finds that one. Mentalist as well. Invictus looking to just converge straight on towards the objective. Sage with final stand, but can't even get to. Stiggs has clutched before, but this one even harder than the last. Over towards Lockers in the 1v4. The plant now going down. Stiggs hears the cue, now pushes forward, but IG with so many guns trained on this position will not allow him to progress any further than this mirror window, and Stiggs accepts his fate. Hysterics with the grenade.
Beautiful. Hook, line, and sinker. Invictus on match point, and I've got to say that was very reminiscent to the wording of intelligent, Guz. That round from Invictus was everything you could have hoped for. You took out the most pivotal player on the Knights as the first and opening kill. You then completely and utterly dominate with the use of the exothermics and of course the Talon shields. They're probably the two of the easiest pieces of util when there's no denial for them on the board. There was no impact, there's no way to get around it. And now we're looking straight down the barrel of OT or a strong start for Invictus here. Although 3 rounds seem to kind of slip away from their fingers, they've certainly held on with a tight grip for the last 2 rounds.
I'm sure the Knights will be disappointed that they can no longer get all 3 points from this matchup, but they'll know as well as anyone that every single point is important, and they'll look to bunker down here, get the next round, force OT. Staff room, open area. That'll be the stage for this final dance, perhaps, if Invictus continue this.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by
So
attackers.
tough to call it either way. Round to round, the form guide is changing. Obviously, a bit of a sit rep is in order. Stig's clearly a standout for the Knights. Had some big games in stage 1, also had some quiet games, but he'll be looking to continue this good form into the rest of the stage. And for Invictus, as you would expect, Speak easy once more, topping the charts. Jigsaw close behind. And these numbers not even fully reflective, as we did have a halftime rehost.
Very true. And a dominant first half as well. So I'd love to see what the end score would actually be.
Attackers are moving out to
Had that
locate a
not have
bomb.
really closed out, if you will, or just rehosted in general. I've got to say, though, Invictus have definitely looked the better of the 2 teams. You know, if you take away the 2v5 or 1v3 clutch, then Invictus would have already taken this map. And that's not to discredit what Knights have done or achieved. I think they've certainly looked good on the first 2 defenses of their half, but since then it hasn't looked ultra convincing, and Invictus, with everything in their hands,
Bomb located by
now
attackers.
attack open and staff that closed out with not open and staff. Is it? Am I going crazy? It is, isn't it?
It is open.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. Don't tell me why. I had a momentary relapse in the old mind, but I do feel like this was very convincing. Finding a quick double and then closing out from there, which just seemed too hard with only 2 players left.
Jigsaw has been droned ahead here over towards main stairs. X as well, entering in lobby, sneaking across. Pretty fast setup from the Knights. But will this throw them off guard? B-Brain's out and Hysterics thinks better of that push. Time now starting to creep up a little bit on the attack. Hysterics takes a little bit of damage. Not quite having that meaningful entry that perhaps he would have otherwise wanted. Sage down below alongside Josh at the main stairs. Could be in a position to flank that or blue late round. I think at the moment it's very even.
Attackers recovered the
So
bomb
difficult to
diffuser.
split these 2, still with 60 seconds left.
The fact that Invictus have struggled to find a solid opening yet, it's kind of making me lean toward Knights. Sure, they've got top floor control and they're kind of forcing Knights into what we call the kill box, but they've still got to make this work. They've got to find these picks. Time truly of the essence. 35 seconds left. And as it comes down, as push comes to shove, they've got to find the opening shots, guys.
Oh my god, huge pick there, but it's a trade. 4-4. 20 seconds now remains. The Knights trying to stay alive in this game. It's 2 big kills. 2 massive kills, and now Hysterics in the 1 versus 3 needs to claim the kit and needs to find all of these remaining defenders, but the Knights say that's not gonna happen, and OT we go.
Well, it's certainly fitting for a match of this caliber. 2 of the best that we have to offer in APAC South, head to head. Truthfully, this is where it needed to end. And it's determined potentially on the fact that Knights have the defense going into OT. And we head down to lockers, where Knights have seen varied success.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
This is where your money's made. But fact of the matter, Guz, is two of the biggest matches of tonight, the points have been split. Elevate and Direwolves have had to split the 3 points due to the OT. Of course, Direwolves coming out on top. That's 2 for them, 1 for Elevate. And this, again, leaves that race wide open with really, I would say, 4 of the top contenders having to split 6 points on the first play day. It's going to make the end of this stage really spicy.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, and I think the really exciting thing from this first play day is we've learned that so many of these teams are just ultra competitive. Very small sample size, it's only the single game. Maybe they've had a really standout performance and others have lacked, but I think compared to looking back to the first stage, I am getting the impression that everyone is really tightly matched at the moment. Dive was probably a bit of a standout still up top, but outside of that, it's anyone's game. And that fight, maybe especially for second, if Direwolves do pull ahead, oh my word, it's going to be insane.
Yeah. Every team's being competitive bar Chiefs.
Can't say that.
Yeah, can't say that. It's just to clarify for those at home that weren't watching earlier today, first match between Gladiator and Chiefs. Chiefs lost 7-3, which I think stunned a lot of us, but Gladiator starting out with a fantastic open to the stage. It means with this result right now, Gladiator and Wildcard will actually be tied for first place.
Cheeky little angle there. Down below. From Jigsaw, who has been snaking his way as well into some key positions, but it's Sage now. Looking to form a retaliation. Oh, he thinks about it, wants to open the line of sight. With the pistol, does so. Jigsaw aware, fires back. Can he win the engagement? Not quite. Sage escapes. Oh my word, I thought he was going to lose that, but will survive. And now with 70 seconds to go, Invictus need to start making moves. Josh, though, over towards Garage, wins that engagement. A Juicy with the C4 opens it wide here for the Knights.
Not ideal with Speakeasy down and out for the count. I don't know whether the Talon Shields were put down in an advantageous position. Jigsaw at least finds a trade in amongst 3 kills for the Knights. And with only 2 left on Invictus, this is just going to be raw contact. They're going to have to go together and hope to the heavens above that either one can pop off.
Oh, Juicy with the mirror window still standing, can perfectly see when this attack comes through. It's 2 versus 4, and Jigsaw elects to reposition. A good ping
lovely.
And a clean shot. Sage finally dealt with, and keep in mind that Josh is low. So this round, not 100% confirmed for the Knights. It's a triple for Jigsaw, looking dangerous in this round. Hysterics as well, alive, LMG full health. They might be able to win this round. Josh needs to play patiently, but Juicy, the aggressor, finds 1, finds 2, and finds the round for the Knights.
Don is good, Don is great, my friend. That was looking far too close to comfort. And of all players on Invictus, who other than Jigsaw to give them an opportunity back in this matchup? Doesn't happen, and now is when Invictus have to shine the brightest. Because an L, regardless of whether it's in OT or in regulation for the first game of the stage, is not a good look.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Top floor we go. A bold call here from Invictus. We'll see whether or not it does pay dividends. Relatively aggressive lineup as well, with the castle being brought out alongside the Warden as well. That means that we're unlikely to see Sense brought out, as the Knights will potentially spot out that Warden. We haven't seen him play it at all regardless. And it also does limit the impact of any flash bangs or any smoke grenades from the attack, which particularly if you're leaning into Oso can be pretty helpful and disguising that, creating rather distractions, and maybe making it a little bit more difficult to deny those shields from being placed on the ground. I'm keen to see this dynamic. Again, if Osa gets the shield down, and it's not denied by the 4 impacts available to Invictus or by other means, it's almost certainly a round to the Knights. They can get the plant down, they can play the post on the rappel. It's such a challenging site to retake. So this round is going to be absolutely critical that Stigs is under a relentless amount of pressure here from Invictus.
Would not have agreed more. I also think for Knights, they've got to be careful with their time management here. It's one thing that's come to haunt them, not, I wouldn't say regularly by any means, but it is something that if they're not cautious about, especially at the beginning of this match, could well come back to punish them. I think some flashes used. It's the nade looking for. Gets the shield perfectly right on the edge. I mean, I don't think you could have thrown a better nade if you tried.
Yeah, really clean. Perfect util dump there from the Knights, but also well played by Speakeasy. He gave up that position, didn't try and double down, instead sort of put his arms up, surrendered and said, yep, you guys can have this utility, it's not the end of the world, but I'm going to keep my life. And that's critical for the late round because he has those 2 impact grenades. If Speakeasy dies, it really puts a lot of pressure then on the shoulders of Jigsaw to ensure that he's in a position to deny that utility. That thought behind us though, Nate down below, able to deny those Habana X Kairos from the wall. So that means that Speakeasy now, despite not having the shield, can still apply pressure from this position. So many interesting little dynamics being played out here at the moment. And like a lot of these rounds, difficult to pick a winner. But Sage has pushed deep, straight into Janitor. Uncontested, pings out. Can he find the kill? He does. That's huge for Sage. If he gets a second, it might be the round. Nate taken low, forced down into the drop animation. Hysterics as well. Low on HP elsewhere, and Speakeasy dealt with. This is such a play from Sage. This is round winning and potentially map winning as well. Stigs for the plant. The denial from IG. Jigsaw, no way he's maneuvered into that position. The grenade as well, it's caught. It's going wrong here for the Knights. Can Sage hold on? Can Sage find this kill? The information's there, and now it's a 3-on-1. Surely the Knights will do it, and they do. Way too close for comfort, but nonetheless, 2 points in the bank, and the Knights showing some great proficiency here on bank.
That last round was far too close to comfort. Again, Jigsaw giving Invictus just a little bit of an opportunity. It was a small glimmer of hope, but boy, that hope